Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Take a breath before you listen any further. Because you did not arrive here by accident, not by chance, not because an algorithm guessed correctly. This moment was scheduled long before you pressed play. Heaven marked this exact time, this exact hour, with your name on it, and your spirit recognized the call before your mind could explain it. That quiet pull you felt, that gentle nudge to stay instead of scrolling past, that was not curiosity. That was alignment. There are seasons when God speaks loudly through open doors, visible breakthroughs, unmistakable signs. And then there are seasons like this one, where He speaks softly, where nothing looks dramatic on the outside, but everything is shifting underneath. This is one of those moments, chosen one. Something has begun to move in your life, not with noise, not with announcement, but with intention. What you are stepping into now is not a sudden miracle that startles the room. It is a sacred unfolding that only those who have waited long enough can recognize. You have waited. You have endured seasons where your faith outlasted your circumstances. Seasons where you prayed and heard nothing, sowed and saw no harvest, believed while others doubted, stayed when it would have been easier to walk away. And now, quietly, without fanfare, heaven is responding. Not because you demanded it, not because you chased it, but because you were prepared for it. Chosen one. Hear this clearly at the very beginning. What God is releasing into your life is not a reward for good behavior. It is not a trophy for surviving hardship. It is not proof that you were right and others were wrong. It is a trust, and trust is weighty. This is not just about increase. It is not just about provision. It is not just about finances, resources, or open doors. This is about stewardship. This is about responsibility. This is about whether your roots are strong enough to hold what your hands are about to receive. Many people pray for blessing. Very few are prepared to carry it without losing themselves. And that is why this moment is quiet. God does not introduce sacred things with noise. He introduces them with stillness. The sunrise does not shout when it appears, yet it changes everything. In the same way, what is coming into your life will not arrive with applause. It will arrive with instruction, with restraint, with a gentle but firm invitation from God to walk differently than before. Chosen one. This is not the season to announce. It is the season to listen. Because when God entrusts wealth true, divine provision, it is never detached from purpose. Heaven does not scatter resources randomly. It channels them through vessels that have been refined in silence. And you have been refined. the long night shaped you. The closed doors disciplined you. The delay taught you discernment. The lack trained your gratitude. What others would have dropped, you learned to carry. What others would have mishandled, you learned to protect. That is why heaven has been watching you closely, not just to see if you would endure the waiting, but to see who you would become in it. Chosen one. Some people around you were comfortable with your struggle. They could understand you when you were striving, when you were uncertain, when you were still trying to figure things out. But they will not know how to relate to you when you are entrusted with more. And that is not your burden to manage. Because when God begins to elevate someone quietly, it often creates discomfort in environments that were only meant to hold the earlier version of you. Your growth exposes stagnation. Your discipline reveals disorder. Your obedience shines light on places that preferred dimness. That is why God says, move quietly. Silence is not hiding. Silence is protection. You do not announce a seed while it is still forming roots. You guard it. You water it. You let it strengthen before it faces the storm. Chosen one. This message is not meant to excite you. It is meant to steady you, because what is ahead will test not your faith, but your humility. Not your belief, but your discipline. Not whether you trust God, but whether God can trust you. And before we go any further, before we unfold anything deeper, there is something important I want you to do, not for me, but for yourself. If your spirit is bearing witness right now, if something inside you is settling instead of stirring, if you feel seen, not flattered, I want you to type Amen in the comments. Not as a habit, not as a routine, but as an act of agreement. Amen is not just a word. It means so be it. It means I receive with reverence. It means I am aligned with what God is doing. Even if I don't fully understand it yet, let that be your quiet declaration. Chosen one, stay with me, not because this is going to get louder, but because it is going to get clearer. We are not rushing. We are not performing. We are not chasing revelation. We are allowing it to unfold, because what God is building through you is too sacred to be rushed, too holy to be flaunted, and too important to be mishandled. Remain here. Remain still. Remain open. The silence you are in is not empty. It is full of instruction. And this is only the beginning. Chosen one. Now that you are still, let me speak to the place you rarely talk about. Not the prayers you prayed out loud, not the faith you showed others, but the quiet years, the ones that shaped you while no one was watching. There is a season God assigns to those He intends to trust deeply. It is not a season that looks impressive. It does not come with affirmation, applause, or clarity. It comes with obscurity, with repetition, with days that feel the same, and nights that stretch longer than expected. This is what we call the hidden season. You were not forgotten there. You were formed. Many people mistake hiddenness for delay, and delay for rejection. But God hides what He intends to preserve. He covers what He plans to multiply, and He shields what He knows the environment cannot yet sustain. Think about it, chosen one. If God had given you earlier what you are about to carry now, it would not have been a blessing. It would have been a burden. It would have exposed you to pressures you were not yet equipped to withstand. It would have surrounded you with voices you had not yet learned to discern. So He waited, not because He was unsure, but because He was precise. In the hidden season, God does not rush outcomes. He trains instincts. He sharpens hearing. He teaches you how to walk without affirmation and stand without explanation. That is why so much of your growth happened in silence. You learned how to pray when answers were delayed. You learned how to remain faithful when progress was invisible. You learned how to obey when obedience cost you comfort. Those lessons do not show up on resumes, but they determine whether a calling survives elevation. Chosen one. There were moments when you wondered if you missed it, moments when you questioned whether you were being overlooked, bypassed, or set aside. Moments when it felt like others were advancing while you were standing still. But hear this gently. God was not holding you back. He was anchoring you down. Because anything that rises without roots will eventually fall under its own weight. In the hidden season, your roots were going deeper than you realized. You were learning patience without passivity, hope without entitlement, faith without timelines. These are not small virtues. They are rare disciplines, and they are required for what comes next. You see, the world celebrates speed. Heaven values stability. People who rise quickly often shine brightly, but briefly. People who are raised slowly carry something heavier, something steadier, something that does not collapse under pressure. That is why your life did not explode overnight. God was not interested in impressing people with your story. He was interested in entrusting you with influence that would last, influence that would bless more than just you, influence that would extend beyond a single season. Chosen one. The hidden season also revealed something else: who stayed when there was nothing to gain, who listened when you had no platform, who believed when there was no evidence. Those relationships were not accidental, they were filters. God uses silence to separate motives. Some people only walk with you when your life is loud. Others are assigned to walk with you when your life is quiet. And it is those quiet companions, few as they may be, who often recognize your calling before the crowd ever does. But there is another side to the hidden season that few talk about. It is exhausting. Not physically, spiritually. It is tiring to believe without seeing. It is heavy to carry promises that seem to age instead of mature. It is lonely to feel set apart without understanding why. And God knows that. He has seen the nights you went to bed with questions instead of answers. The mornings you woke up faithful but weary. The prayers that ended not with confidence, but with surrender. Those prayers mattered because surrender is not weakness, it is readiness. Chosen one. This season trained you to release control, to stop forcing outcomes, to trust God's timing even when it conflicted with your expectations. That training is essential because where you are going, control will be dangerous. You cannot micromanage divine provision. You cannot rush sacred assignments. You cannot carry weighty blessings with anxious hands. So God taught you how to wait, not idly, but intentionally. And while you waited, something important happened. Your identity detached from performance. You learned that your worth was not tied to visibility, productivity, or recognition. You discovered who you were when no one was clapping. That discovery is priceless, because now, when recognition comes, when doors open and provision increases, it will not define you. It will not inflate you. It will not destabilize you. You will know who you are without it. Chosen one. Many people are destroyed by what they prayed for because they never learned how to live without it. They never learned gratitude in lack, humility in waiting, or discipline in obscurity. So when abundance arrived, it exposed what had never been healed. But you were treated differently. The hidden season healed you before it promoted you. It softened your heart. It clarified your priorities. It removed the need to prove anything to anyone. And that is why what comes next must be handled with care. Because hidden seasons do not end with noise. They end with instruction. God does not say, "Go tell everyone." He says, "Come closer." He invites you into deeper listening, more intentional obedience, greater restraint. Not because the blessing is fragile, but because people are. And you are learning how to carry something sacred without letting it become a spectacle. Chosen one. Stay here for a moment longer. Do not rush past what God did in the quiet, because the very patience you thought was costing you time was actually saving you from collapse. And what you are stepping into next will require every lesson you learned when no one was watching. We are not done yet. There is more clarity coming, more understanding, more revelation about why your path looked the way it did. Remain with me. The hidden season was not the end of your story. It was the foundation. Chosen one. Now let us speak to what the hidden season stirred inside you. Not the strength people saw, not the faith you displayed, but the quiet tension that lived beneath your obedience. Because there is a kind of delay that does more than test patience. It tests the heart. You waited longer than you expected, longer than you planned for, longer than you told yourself you would. And somewhere along the way, waiting stopped being noble and started becoming heavy. You did not stop believing, but you did start wondering. You wondered if you misunderstood God. You wondered if you were asking for too much. You wondered if you were faithful enough, discerning enough, worthy enough. Those questions did not make you weak. They made you human. Prolonged delay does something subtle. It does not usually shatter faith all at once. Instead, it presses on it day after day until belief must choose whether it will mature or retreat. And you chose to stay, even when you were tired of staying. Chosen one. There were moments when your prayers changed tone. At first, they were full of expectation. Then they became quieter, simpler, more cautious. You stopped asking boldly and started asking carefully, as if you were afraid of being disappointed again. God noticed that shift, not with frustration, with compassion, because he knew the delay was no longer about timing. It was about capacity. You see, God does not just measure readiness by desire. He measures it by resilience, by whether you can hold hope without demanding speed, by whether you can trust him when he refuses to explain himself. Delay reveals where faith is rooted. Some people only trust God when progress is visible. Others learn to trust him when obedience is the only thing that makes sense. That is the difference between borrowed faith and forged faith. Yours was forged. In the delay, you learned how to keep showing up when nothing changed. You learned how to pray without emotional reinforcement. You learned how to obey when obedience felt unproductive. Those lessons are invisible, but they are indestructible. Chosen one. Here is something few will tell you. God often delays, not because the blessing is not ready, but because the soul still needs strengthening. What you are about to carry would have crushed an earlier version of you. The responsibility, the discernment required, the temptation that comes with access, the spiritual pressure that follows increase. God saw all of that before you ever did. So he slowed the process, not to punish you, but to protect you. There were doors that did not open, because opening them too soon would have surrounded you with voices that could influence you before you were anchored. There were opportunities that passed you by because they would have rewarded your effort without refining your heart. And that kind of reward is dangerous. Chosen one. Delay is not denial. It is divine filtration. God was filtering pride out of your prayers, urgency out of your expectations, entitlement out of your faith. He was teaching you how to want something without letting it become your identity. That is not an easy lesson. There were days you felt stuck between promise and reality, too far to turn back, too early to move forward. Days when obedience felt like standing still while life moved around you. Days when it seemed like God was silent while everyone else was progressing. But even then, he was watching closely, not to see if you would quit, but to see how you would carry the weight of uncertainty, because uncertainty prepares you for stewardship. People who need clarity before they obey struggle to carry responsibility later. But people who learn to trust without explanation develop a stability that can support increase. Chosen one. The delay also revealed your motives. At some point, you stopped serving God for outcomes and started serving Him because He is God. You continued even when the reward was unclear. You prayed even when the breakthrough felt distant. You stayed faithful when obedience felt like a private decision no one else noticed. That shift mattered because God does not entrust legacy to people who are motivated only by results. He entrusts it to those who are rooted in relationship, and relationship grows best under pressure. Chosen one. There were moments when you almost made peace with less, not because you stopped believing God could do more, but because you needed relief from hope deferred. You told yourself you would be content if nothing changed, just so your heart could rest. God saw that too. And He honored your willingness to surrender outcomes, because surrender is the doorway to trust. This is important for you to understand. The delay did not weaken your calling. It purified it. You are not stepping into the next season with desperation. You are stepping into it with discernment. You are not rushing toward blessing. You are prepared to manage it. That difference will keep you grounded when others become inflated. Chosen one. Many people collapse under success because they never learned how to carry disappointment without becoming bitter. You learned how to wait without hardening your heart. That is rare, and that is why the blessing coming to you will not arrive to replace God. It will arrive to reveal Him. It will not become your security. It will confirm your trust. It will not distract you from prayer. It will draw you deeper into it. But do not mistake this moment. Just because the delay is lifting does not mean the discipline ends. What sustained you in the waiting must now sustain you in the increase. The same restraint, the same humility, the same listening posture. Because elevation changes the battlefield. When lack was your challenge, faith kept you alive. When abundance arrives, wisdom must keep you aligned. And God is preparing you for that. Shift. Chosen one, stay with me. You are beginning to see why the waiting was long, why the answers were slow, why the silence was necessary. There is still more clarity coming. The delay shaped you, but the next season will reveal you. Remain steady. We are not concluding yet. We are going deeper. Chosen one. Now, let us speak about a wound that shaped you more than you admit. Not the rejection from strangers, not the missed opportunities, but the moments when the people closest to you did not understand what God was doing in your life. familiar voices, those who watched you grow, who knew your past, who remembered you before the promise became clear. Their doubt cut deeper because it came wrapped in concern, in questions that sounded reasonable, in advice that felt practical, in looks that said, "Are you sure?" They did not mean to wound you, but they did, and God saw every moment of it. Chosen one. It is one thing to stand strong when the world doubts you. It is another thing entirely when the doubt comes from the same table you sit at, the same home you come from, the same people who say they love you. You tried to explain at first. You tried to make them see what you felt in your spirit. You tried to help them understand the call, the conviction, the quiet knowing that would not leave you alone. But words failed, and eventually, you learned something painful. Some people can only see you through the lens of who you were, not who God is shaping you to become. That realization hurt. It made you feel unseen, misunderstood at times, even foolish for believing what you believed. But hear this now, chosen one, gently and clearly. Their inability to recognize your calling was not evidence that it was false. It was evidence that it was not assigned to them. God does not reveal every assignment to every person. Familiarity often dulls spiritual perception. Those who knew you in one season may struggle to recognize you in the next, especially when that next season requires faith beyond logic. Even Jesus was questioned in his hometown. Even Joseph was doubted by his brothers. Even David was overlooked by his own father. This is not punishment. It is pattern, chosen one. God often hides his greatest work in plain sight and then blinds familiar eyes so that the calling is protected from premature interference. Because if everyone understood what God was doing with you early on, too many opinions would have shaped it. Too many voices would have diluted it. Too much pressure would have formed before you were ready to carry it. So God allowed misunderstanding. He allowed distance. He allowed silence. He allowed you to walk parts of this journey alone. Not because you were abandoned, but because you were being strengthened. The lack of support forced you to rely on God instead of approval. The absence of affirmation taught you to listen inward instead of outward. The questions you could not answer pushed you deeper into prayer. That was not accidental. Chosen one. Family doubt refines obedience. When the people closest to you do not clap, you learn to obey without applause. When encouragement is scarce, you learn to draw strength from conviction instead of consensus, and that prepares you for what comes next. Because elevation often creates a second wave of misunderstanding. The same people who doubted your waiting may question your increase. The same voices that cautioned restraint may grow uncomfortable with responsibility placed on you. The same relationships that knew you in lack may struggle to adjust to you in stewardship. And that is why God taught you early how to walk without validation, not to harden your heart, but to guard it. Chosen one, I want you to release something right now. Release the need for them to understand. You were never called to convince them. You were called to obey God. And obedience sometimes requires silence. You do not owe everyone an explanation for the season you are in. You do not need to justify your restraint, your discipline, your decisions. The fruit will speak when the time is right. God does not require witnesses before He moves. He requires willingness, chosen one. This is where many people become bitter, but you did not. You felt the sting. Yes. You felt the loneliness. Yes. But you did not allow resentment to take root. Instead, you learned compassion. You learned patience. You learned how to love without agreement and respect without approval. Those qualities matter deeply for what God is entrusting to you, because wealth, influence, and responsibility amplify unresolved emotions. If bitterness lives in the heart, increase gives it a microphone. But if humility and compassion live there instead, increase gives them reach. God knew what He was doing when He allowed you to be misunderstood. He was training you to remain grounded when others project their expectations onto you. He was teaching you how to stand firm without becoming defensive. He was shaping you into someone who could carry authority without arrogance. Chosen one. Some relationships will evolve. Some will heal. Some will remain distant. That outcome is not yours to control. Your assignment is simpler and harder. Remain obedient. Remain humble. Remain quiet when necessary. The validation you did not receive early will not be needed later. Because when God begins to move in your life visibly, understanding will come not through explanation, but through evidence. And even then, you will know better than to boast, because you remember the seasons when belief was costly. You remember the moments when faith required courage instead of comfort. You remember standing alone with God when support was uncertain. Those memories will keep you anchored. Chosen one. Let this truth settle deeply in you now. The people who doubted you were not obstacles. They were instruments. Instruments God used to strip away dependence on approval, so that when increase comes, you are led by discernment, not emotion. You are learning how to carry blessing without needing validation, how to hold provision without announcing it, how to walk in calling without defending it. That is maturity. And maturity is required for legacy. Stay with me. What God is doing in you is not just about personal breakthrough. It reaches further than your lifetime. It touches bloodlines, generations, futures you may never see. We are about to speak about that next. Remain still. Remain open. We are not finished yet. Chosen one. Now, let us lift our eyes beyond the immediate moment. Because what God is doing in your life was never meant to stop with you. You have felt this before, even if you could not put words to it. That quiet awareness that your journey has carried more weight than your personal comfort. That sense that your obedience mattered in ways you could not yet see. That feeling that your endurance was connected to something larger than your own story. That feeling was accurate. Chosen one. God does not refine people for nothing. He does not train hearts in obscurity only to bless them in isolation. When He shapes someone with patience, humility, and restraint, He is preparing a vessel that can carry more than personal success. He is preparing someone who can alter a bloodline. Your waiting was not wasted time. Your delay was not misalignment. Your discipline was not excessive. It was generational. You were learning how to carry weight so that those who come after you would not have to learn the same lessons the hard way. You were learning restraint so that your children and their children could inherit stability instead of struggle. Chosen one. Many people ask God to bless them without realizing that blessing is responsibility multiplied. When God releases provision, He is not just answering a prayer, He is initiating an assignment, and that assignment extends forward. You are standing at a pivot point. Not just a moment of personal change, but a moment where patterns can be interrupted, where cycles that repeated for decades can end with you, where scarcity, fear, instability, or inconsistency no longer get passed down as inheritance. That is not small. That is why God took His time with you. You were not just being prepared to receive. You were being prepared to steward. Stewardship looks different when you realize you are holding something meant to outlast you. It changes how you move. It changes what you tolerate. It changes how carefully you listen. Suddenly, decisions are not just about what feels good. They are about what builds something lasting. Chosen one. This is why your calling felt heavier than others, why shortcuts never sat well with you, why compromise always felt expensive, why your spirit resisted rushing even when opportunities were available. You were being trained to think long-term. God often entrusts generational responsibility to those who have known both lack and restraint, because people who have experienced hunger do not waste bread. People who have waited do not gamble with provision. People who have endured silence learn how to protect sacred things. And that is who you have become, chosen one. Understand this clearly. Legacy is not built with noise. It is built with consistency. It is not established by one breakthrough, but by 1,000 faithful decisions no one celebrates. It is not secured by how much comes in, but by how carefully it is handled. This is why God is inviting you to slow down even as things begin to open up. Because speed threatens longevity. He is teaching you how to hold increase without letting it redefine you. How to remain anchored in obedience while stepping into greater influence. How to build something that will still stand when the excitement fades. Chosen one, generational purpose requires maturity. It requires the ability to say no when something looks good but does not align. It requires the humility to give quietly without needing recognition. It requires the discipline to invest where God leads, not where ego pulls. And you are learning that. The restraint you practiced in waiting will now become wisdom in provision. The humility you learned in obscurity will become stability in elevation. You are not just receiving resources, you are receiving trust. Trust that you will build something stronger than what you inherited. Trust that you will manage what others mismanaged. Trust that you will bless where others consumed. This is why God often chooses people who were overlooked, underestimated, or delayed. They understand the cost of faith. They understand the danger of carelessness. They understand that everything they carry came through surrender. Chosen one, you are not late. You are timed. God often waits until desire has matured into discernment before he releases influence. He waits until ambition has softened into obedience. He waits until faith has learned to listen. That is why this moment is not loud. It is deliberate. You are stepping into a role that requires clarity, not urgency. Stewardship, not spectacle. Depth, not display. And that role will affect people you may never meet, children you may never hold, futures you may never witness. But heaven sees it, and heaven values it. Chosen one, let this awareness shape how you move in the coming season. Let it slow you down. Let it ground you. Let it remind you that every decision matters more than it seems. You are building something that did not exist before. Something stable, something disciplined, something rooted. And because you know what it costs to get here, you will not treat it lightly. Stay with me. There is still one more essential truth you must carry as the doors open. One more safeguard God is placing in your hands. We are not concluding yet. Remain attentive. What comes next will help you protect everything you have been prepared to steward. Chosen one. Now we must speak about what happens when the waiting finally gives way. Because many believe the test is over when the doors open. But the truth is, the battlefield changes. Lack tested your faith. Delay tested your patience. But increase will test your discernment. This is where everything you learned in silence becomes essential. When God begins to release provision, when opportunities multiply, when resources increase, when stability finally replaces uncertainty, the temptation is not obvious. It does not arrive as rebellion. It arrives as comfort, as relief, as the quiet thought, I can finally breathe. And you can. but you must remain alert. Chosen one, wealth does not corrupt. It reveals. It reveals what was already rooted in the heart. It amplifies what has been quietly growing beneath the surface. If pride was hiding, it will rise. If fear was buried, it will surface. If humility was cultivated, it will become visible. That is why God trained you so carefully before this moment. Because what comes next is not about receiving it, is about carrying. Carrying requires restraint. You will notice something shift when increase begins. The same silence that protected you in obscurity will now be required to protect you in visibility. God will not instruct you to announce what He is doing. He will instruct you to anchor it. Do not tell everyone yet. Do not move too fast. Do not explain yourself. Not because the blessing is fragile, but because attention is. Chosen one. Attention attracts opinions. Opinions attract pressure. And pressure can distort obedience if the heart is not steady. This is why some people rise quickly and fall quietly. They were not trained to manage visibility with wisdom. They mistook access for authority and momentum for permission. But you are being trained differently. You are learning that not every open door is divine, that not every opportunity deserves a yes, that sometimes the holiest response is silence, because silence keeps you aligned. When the increase comes, people will notice even if you do not speak. Some will celebrate sincerely. Others will become curious. Some will want access not to support you, but to benefit from proximity. Discernment will matter more than generosity alone. Chosen one, you must hear this without fear, but with clarity. Not everyone who claps for you is for you. Some people are drawn to the fruit, not the root. They admire the outcome without understanding the process. And if given access too quickly, they can drain what they never helped cultivate. That is why God says, "Guard what I give you, not with suspicion, but with wisdom." You are not required to explain your discipline. You are not obligated to justify your boundaries. You are not responsible for managing other people's expectations. Your responsibility is alignment. The enemy does not always try to block blessing. Sometimes he waits until it arrives. Then he distracts the steward. He will send good things that pull you away from God things. He will offer visibility that costs you intimacy. He will tempt you to stay where applause is loud instead of returning to where instruction is clear. This is subtle. And that is why your training in silence matters so much now. Chosen one, when the blessings begin to overflow, do not linger where the claps are. Return to the secret place. Go back to the posture that sustained you when nothing was visible. Because applause is loud, but purpose is quiet. Jesus did not stay where miracles made him famous. He withdrew. He prayed. He listened. He remained aligned. That is your model. When the account grows, go lower in prayer. When your name rises, soften your heart further. when influence expands, narrow your focus. Because what God has released into your life is not just money, it is a mission. And missions require discipline. Chosen one. The early stages of increase are fragile. Not because God's provision is weak, but because human nature is. That is why God whispers instead of shouts in this season. He wants your roots to deepen before your branches spread. A tree that grows too fast snaps in the first storm, but one that grows steadily, quietly, obediently becomes unshakable. Your silence is your soil. Feed it with prayer. Guard it with wisdom. Water it with restraint. Practice giving in secret. Help without announcement. Bless without explanation. Let your generosity rise to heaven as worship, not as evidence. Because the Father, who sees in secret, is the one who sustains openly. Chosen one. This is the moment where stewardship becomes your shield. Not how much you receive, but how you manage what you receive. Not how fast things change, but how grounded you remain while they do. The waiting prepared you for this. The delay disciplined you for this. The misunderstanding strengthened you for this. And now, God is watching not to see if you rise, but to see if you stay rooted. Stay with me. We are about to enter the final movement of this message, not an ending, but a sealing. A moment where what you have heard becomes something you carry. Remain still. The most sacred part is about to unfold. Chosen one. Before we go any further, allow everything to settle. You do not need to analyze. You do not need to respond. You do not need to do anything right now. Just breathe. Let your shoulders relax. Let the noise quiet. Let your spirit come to rest. Because this is not the end of a message. This is a sealing. Everything you have heard was not meant to rush you forward. It was meant to ground you, to steady you, to align you with what God has already been shaping quietly in your life. And now, we will close this sacred moment the only way it should be closed, by returning everything to God. Not with excitement, not with performance, but with reverence. If you are able, let your heart become still. And if you feel comfortable, place your hands open, palms up, as a sign of surrender. Guided prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you quietly, not demanding, not striving, not rushing, but listening. You are the source of every good and perfect gift. You are the keeper of timing, the shaper of hearts, the giver of trust. And today, we thank you. Thank you for the hidden seasons we did not understand. Thank you for the delays that protected us. Thank you for the silence that trained us. Thank you for the waiting that refined us. Thank you for every closed door that saved us from stepping into something before we were ready to carry it. Thank you for every unanswered prayer that later revealed itself as mercy. Thank you for every tear that watered our roots when no one else could see. Father, we acknowledge now what you are releasing into our lives is not just provision. It is responsibility. It is stewardship. It is trust. And we do not take that lightly. Before our hands ever touch increase, we offer you our hearts. Search us, God. Remove any pride that might rise with promotion. Remove any fear that might cling to abundance. Remove any desire to be seen, validated, or praised. Teach us to carry what you give with humility. Teach us to move with wisdom, not urgency. Teach us to return to the secret place even when the doors open. Lord, guard us from forgetfulness. Guard us from becoming distant when life becomes comfortable. Guard us from letting provision replace intimacy. If the money comes, let our knees go lower. If influence grows, let our obedience deepen. If our name is mentioned, let your name remain central. We ask for discernment in this season. Eyes to see clearly, ears to hear quietly, a heart that stays soft even when our lives become strong. Protect us from counterfeit connections, from opportunities that look good but are not aligned, from distractions dressed as blessings. Teach us when to speak and when to stay silent, when to give and when to wait, when to move and when to remain still, Father. Everything you place in our hands, we return to you first. Our finances, our influence, our future, our legacy. Use what you entrust to us to bless others quietly, to lift burdens unseen, to restore what was broken before us, to build what will outlast us. Let our lives reflect not noise, but faithfulness. And now, Lord, we receive not with grasping hands, but with surrendered hearts. Amen. Declaration spoken slowly. Chosen one, if your spirit agrees, let these words settle into you, not as performance, but as alignment. I declare that I will carry what God gives with humility. I will not rush what God is building. I will not announce what God is still forming. I declare that silence will remain my strategy. Obedience will remain my foundation. Wisdom will remain my guard. I declare that wealth will not define me. Stewardship will. I declare that my increase will draw me closer to God, not further from Him. My discipline will outlast my excitement. My roots will go deeper as my branches grow wider. I declare that my life will bless generations beyond me. What I steward now will become stability for those who come after me. I declare that I will not forget the waiting. I will not forget the lessons. I will not forget who brought me here. I declare that I am trusted not because I'm perfect, but because I am surrendered, and I receive this season with reverence. Amen. Chosen one, stay here for just a moment longer. Do not rush to the next video. Do not fill the silence right away. Let this settle. Peace does not always arrive as relief. Sometimes it arrives with clarity, as steadiness, as the quiet knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. If this prayer resonated with your spirit, you may type AMIN in the comments, not to be seen, but to mark agreement. And if someone comes to your heart who needs this word, share it gently, quietly, at the right time. You do not need to convince anyone. Your fruit will speak. Until we meet again, remain grounded, remain disciplined, remain close to God. The blessing has begun, but you already know. How you carry it matters. Rest now. You are held